Legends, how you going? Welcome back to another week in the charts in crypto land. Now we've had interesting movements over the last day or so. This is the overall picture, which has basically been sideways since July, where we got the all-time high, came back down, and another all-time high. The interesting stuff is the CME gap that we had. So in the previous video, I talked about a CME gap, which is here. Which filled not that long after I talked about it in that video. Came back down all the way up here. We got some good news about the 401ks in the United States that Trump executive order. So 401ks had access to crypto and property too, or something else. There's a list of new things anyway. Crypto was one of them. So that allows that $1 trillion market to have access to crypto, which is good. We need that sort of money to push this thing higher. But then today we had some interesting news, unexpected news coming out of the States again. So the news that I'm talking about is this one here. So this is the PPI, right? So the PPI is the change in the price of finished goods and services sold by producers. So the change in price of finished goods was, there it is. Right, so the previous was 0, so there was no change in price. The forecast was going to increase by 0.2%. Actual was 0.9, which is over 4 times higher than what people were forecasting. Markets don't like surprises, so down she goes, because this is bad, right? If the cost of things to manufacture them go up, that's like inflation, right? Because that gets passed on. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise because of the whole tariff thing that's happening in the United States. But up until now, the inflation thing hasn't really happened, right? If you go back just to the start of this week, August 12th, here's the CPI figure, month on month and year on year. It was within the band. Like they were expecting 2.8, they got 2.7, and the previous month was 2.7, so it didn't even move at all. The unemployment is pretty good, like it's the same. It was just this. So the manufacturing part is way up. So why is this bad? Well, tariffs is not great for the consumer, but you also have, if it's inflationary, that means that there'll be less chance that the Fed will want to cut rates, and that's not good in terms of crypto prices and stock prices. So that was here. So we'll just go back to a chart. This is from Binance. This is the Binance chart. So that was around here, right? And then the news came out, and then down she goes. People are not happy. The other thing that happened was very confusing statements from Kateri Scott. So this is how you get this dump. It didn't help also that the CME gap was there, because that acted like a man, just like sucked all the liquidity and everything down to fill it. So at least it's filled now, which is, then we can just get back to hopefully normal. If we look at the S&P, that's still going up. Looks like today, this is the 4 hour, so it looks like it might be having a little bit of a breather. I haven't even looked at the RSI. Have a look. Yeah, kind of a div. Kind of. Draw that in and see it. So price is going up. RSI is going down. Could it cool off? Sure. If it does, Bitcoin will also trend this level here as well. The 50 EMA is like right there, so could do that. I mean, this will slowly grind its way up, so it might hit that then keep going. But again, like this, the S&P is very on what happened with all these announcements. See how it all pans out. Just have a quick look at what more news is coming up. So we got core retail sales. So that's happening tonight. It's like in 5 hours. So if retail sales are down, that's not right. They're expecting 0.6. If it's less than that by a lot, then it means that people aren't buying because they can't afford any, because they lost their job, or things are too expensive. Things are getting expensive. We just saw that. PPI said it was costing more to produce, right? Change in price of finished goods and services. So not great. All right, so here's ETH. ETH's had a monster of a run. It's more than doubled in the past few months. What do we got? 200, so triple. We've gone from 1500 to 4800. So we've double topped here on the previous all-time high. Almost made a new all-time high. Things are looking good for ETH. Remember that all of this is driven by Treasury. So it's not retail, and it's not some magic upgrade to the EVM. Treasury companies and ETFs are buying this. That's neither good nor bad, just be aware, okay? So if the treasury companies and the ETFs start slowing down their purchases, then expect this to stop going up. We also have guys, the Ethereum Foundation selling. Anyway, as I was saying, ETH Foundation have been selling. You want to make sure that the ETFs and the treasury companies. Let's go have a look though. Right, so the Ethereum flows for the past week-ish. Here we go, it's the 14th. So pretty solid. Well, pretty solid here. So there's like a billion, half a billion, 3/4 billion. Huge. So 7th of 8th, like this week was really big. So you were wondering why ETH was pumping hard this week. This is why they're buying. This is just the ETFs too. So mainly who's most of it? BlackRock and Fidelity. Scooping it up. What are they doing? What are they doing with Bitcoin? Bitcoin, pitiful amounts of that out here, a little bit in, and then it got switched on. So if you remember in the last day or so, the start of the week was just all ETH, and then the last couple of days had a good run. But wow, BlackRock bought none on the 13th. Half a billion yesterday, but then Fidelity, Wise, and Ark got rid of that. Right. This is the ETH Treasury Company's dashboard. You can go to Blockworks and have a look at this. So the trading volume for the last week, quite big. What do we got here? The holdings, it just keeps going up and up and up. Here, zoom in a bit more. This is when they really started ramping it up. June 23rd. It's just so much buying. Heaps. So total, what's that? 5 billion. Yep. So 5 billion on the 14th. 13th was 9 billion. 12th was 11. The 11th was 12. So massive amount. Let's have a look at treasury companies for Solana while we're here. Tiny. 183 million. 300 is big. It's a billion. Yeah, so, in terms of buying for treasury companies, Solana, Ethereum is just blowing it out of the way. If you're wondering why Solana is lagging, that is a reason. Right, so in terms of fund flows, let's go to the CoinShares report. As I said at the start, the 401k approvals sparked all these inflows. Nothing huge though. Like if you look back a couple of weeks here, it was way bigger. But it was, we saw it in the charts, right? After earlier outflows of $1 billion on weak US payroll data, inflows rebounded $1.5 billion. Okay, so that might be $1 billion out. iShares, that's BlackRock, still with the most. Grayscale is still losing, but that's always been coin. Heaps into Bitcoin and Ethereum, basically the same amount. Little bits into Ripple and Solana, and that's about it. Countries. Australia, Canada, United States, everybody else are flat, or Germany and Sweden. Some big outflows there. Interesting. I wonder what they were doing. Now let's have a look at this is the FedWatch tool. This is the site that you can go to and see what everybody is going to be doing in terms of what they think will happen to the interest rates. Right. So interest rate probabilities. So the target rate in BIPs, 4 and 425. 92.6% believe that will happen. And that will happen on the 17th of September Fed Chair meeting. So that is in a month from now. Current target rate is 425 to 50. So basically what we're seeing here is that most people think overwhelmingly most cut interest rates, even though we got those PPI figures were quite high. Here is the forward-looking chart. So when I said the next meeting on the 17th, a bit more, they're talking about a 92% chance that it's going to be here. Now, the meeting after that is the 29th of October. So 55% of people think it'll get cut again, and 41% people think it'll just stay where it is. And then December is much the same. It's more spread out. So 43% there'll be another cut, 44% it'll stay the same as here, and 11% think that it won't even move off here. So, anything can happen between now and December. But I tell you what, if we don't get this cut here, yeah, not good. It won't be good. If most people think, again, because if most people think something and it doesn't happen, the markets don't like uncertainty. So if most people think that we should get a cut and we get a cut, it should be fine. Like the markets will react. The markets will react positively, maybe a little bit up. Crypto market should go up because, that kind of signals that risk on. But if he doesn't cut, everyone's expecting him to. Yeah. Right. Here's the bull market peak indicators sheet. Hit or not, everything is still nothing. So, yeah, to be expected really. So that's good. Just a check. High cycle nowhere near. Pure multiple. Where's the MVRVC score? Hovering in the middle. I like that on the list. Besides, high cycle is pretty close. What's the rainbow chunk like? It's almost there. See, these are getting hot though. they're getting up there. Bitcoin dominance. Oh yeah, let's have a look at that. Anything else of note? Really? Trending? Yeah, we know the trend like that. Yeah, all right. So let's have a look. Right, so this is the weekly. It's a Bitcoin dominant. We've had potentially what could be trend. So it looks like it has. Is it going to be a fake out or not? Don't know. This is all driven by ETH, right? If you look at this, you look at this chart here. Easiest way to do it is to do this, right? This is the Bitcoin dominance chart inversed. Now, have a look at that. Ready? I'm going to open up the ETH BTC chart. Bang. It's the same. It's exactly the same. Now, why is that? Because ETH is the biggest altcoin by far. So it dominates the calculations when you're looking at Bitcoin dominance, right? Because it's Bitcoin versus everything else. And if Ethereum is basically everything else in terms of when you look at the market cap, then it's going to look like Ethereum. So everybody going all about, oh, Bitcoin dominance is falling, that means it's alt season. They say, well, no, not really. What it means is that Ethereum's having a run, right? Here's the market cap, okay? So Bitcoin is 2.4, let's say. Ethereum is 600 almost 600, 560, right? And the next one, Ripple, that's 184. So that's like 3 times the size of it. You got Tether, which doesn't count. It's a stable coin. Then you got BNB, Solana, and then various other versions of staked ETH. And there's another ETH down here, right? Doge is only 34 billion. So it's huge. It's massive. So that's why it looks like the ETH, which is why I don't really pay attention to the Bitcoin dominance at all. I just go, oh yeah, ETH's having a run. Good. If you want to know whether Bitcoin is winning or not versus the stuff that you hold, you should just look at your coin versus, right? So should you buy alt, right? Should you buy memes or anything else? Just look at the coin that you're interested in and then go to TradingView and then type it in versus Bitcoin. Even if it doesn't have a Bitcoin pair, you can still do it. I will show you how to do that. So let's pick one that may not have a Bitcoin. Trump. Does it have a bit? Probably doesn't. Market. They're all USDT. Maybe essentially. Nope. All right, good. Let's use that as an example. Right, this is the Trump chart. Very sad looking thing. Just down only and to the side. Although these few days here were a lot of fun. Way back in January. Huge. Look at this. Oh, actually, this is the Binance chart. So it's not actually where it started from, right? Because it started on bulls, right? So anyway, so this is the Trump Tether chart. Now, if you want to compare this to Bitcoin, like with Solana Bitcoin, like you can just type in the Sol BTC and then you chart, but there is no such thing for Trump. So what you do is Trump USDT, you type it in, that the one that you want, and you go slash, and you go BTC USD. So now it's the Trump dollar chart versus the Bitcoin dollar chart. And because they're both sides are Tether, you just use any stable coin, right? Doesn't have to be BTC, right? So you just go Trump and then Bitcoin, hit enter, and then it'll load up, right? So that's what it looks like versus now. If you are wanting to buy this as like a meme coin play, you would be going, well, I could buy this, or I could buy Bitcoin. Or maybe you're, into ETH or something. So you want to buy this or you want to buy ETH. This is looking pretty sad. I wouldn't be doing it, right? There's no point. It looks like it's trying to change, but it's like below the 50 EMA here. So like I wouldn't bother. If you want to look at it versus ETH, it's probably going to be worse. ETH, it's even worse, right? Because ETH's had a run. So it's just like basically straight down. So yeah, buying and selling Trump at any point other than the first day, you've lost, or unless you bought it and sold it. But holding it this entire time, you've underperformed Bitcoin and ETH. So yeah, just do that with your alt season sort of stuff, right? Bitcoin dominance is basic. Speaking of alts, let's have a look at Solana. I've drawn up a little sketch here. I'm not sure if it'll actually come true or not, but I just found it interesting that all these things started to line up. So this was the peak in January, right? When everybody was going crazy for Trump and Melania and the other ones. There was so much money piling into Solana, it wasn't funny. Crossing the bridges, right? And we got up to, when did it peak? It was 300, right? $295.83. That was the peak. And it's been down only until April, and then we've recovered about half of it. My bet personally is that the market's going to top out. Even if it doesn't, my plan is to still sell some in Q4. So Q4 is still a mile away, right? Crypto goes so fast, who knows what's going to happen. So it's August, then you got September, October. September, October is where even, prior to all this stuff, I've been going, yeah, it's probably going to be the end. It lines up with the 4-year cycle, right? And all that sort of stuff. So if you're a believer in the 4-year cycle, you should be looking for the exits come October, November, maybe even September, right? Because things start, you'll get people front running, right? So I'm going to be starting to look to exit now, even if it's some, right? Maybe 10%, 20%, 30%. We'll see what happens. But for me, I'm not buying any this year, unless I just some quick trades. As far as, buying long-term investment stuff, no, for exit. So I just drew this up, did some fibs, see what it looked like. So from the massive pump on Trump, then all the way back down, the 1618 is around here. The parabolic curve and the fibs in, sideways, so like a time-based fib. The 2618 and the 1618 along here, they all sort of like line up together, and they line up at this price of $420, 420, 420.69. That's like the meme price, right? Bitcoin topped out at 69K last cycle. Meme, right? Absolute meme. Who is to say that all of this 420 it tops out at 420? Meme. Absolute meme. So yeah, I mean, for me, it'll be, once it gets back to all-time highs, I might trim some, and then anywhere between here and 420, I'll be trimming some more. And then like the real big maxis for Solana are talking about like 1,000, right? 1,000. I mean, it lines up with the 4618. Is it going to get there? No idea. I mean, I'm not the sort of person to not have sold anything if it's made it all the way up there. Like if it gets up here and I haven't sold anything, so I'll be trimming some in here at all-time highs, probably some at around 350, and then definitely some at 420 for the memes, right? For Bitcoin, where's it going to get to? For me, I think like the max that I've said was 180, the daily chart. If so, for me, the max has always been around 180, right? If last cycle plays out like this cycle, last cycle went for 204 bars, so that's W, so we're at 204 weeks. If we measure 204 weeks, that brings us to October the 6th, so the first week of October. It did a 3.618 retrace all the way up to fib extension, all the way up to the all-time high. If we do that again, it'll take us to 200K, which is a nice round number, right? Makes sense to me. If we made it to 100, it gets to 200, you're telling me people aren't going to go, yes, 200, that's a good spot. The difference between this top and that top was 212. So 204, 212. So maybe it goes to the middle of October or something. So if you're a cycle believer, October, September, start thinking about what you're going to do. If you want to measure lows to highs, let's do that. Low to high was 153 bars. So low, here's the low, the high, 153. That is the end of October. End of October will be the top. So if we're looking at it like that, so all the way up there at 200K, that's the absolute max. I always thought about 180. But yeah, so there you go. I think that's the roadmap. So look at Doge, just for a laugh. This is the log chart on Doge. What does it look like? Like that. See, if we look at it on the log chart, let's use one that has more. Which one? Where's Bitstamp or Bit? No. Anyway, so Doge. This is the Doge chart on log. If you're a believer in fractals, kind of looks the same. I mean, it is curving. It is curving like that. Maybe it will. It doesn't look terrible. RSI is kind of like reset. Looks like it wants to go. I mean, yeah, if there's a full-blown everything pump season, Doge will be another one. We'll get rid of let's go back to regular drawings. Yeah, so I mean, Ripple looks good for those of you that are into that. It's holding this line here, this level, so you want to see that daily. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's not something that I trade, but it still looks okay. You know what looks good? That, mate, check this out. All this is Tron. This is Tron, right? This is Tron since 2019. I mean, I think we can go back a little bit further. So here's the absolute bottom after the massive run. Like, I don't know if you guys were around in 2017, but I remember Tron. Like, if you zoom in here, see this? When Tron first launched, like nothing really happened, and then all of a sudden, absolute mayhem. Went all the way up. Like from here to drew that wrong. Let's go log so I can do it properly. Now, from the absolute bottom, tippy top was 16,000 to 16,400. So it's like 162x in 1 to 5 weeks. Crazy. I remember people going, "Oh man, I had so much Tron, and now I've bought myself a car and what's all shit." And I'm like, so good to listen to the guys winning. Love it. But since then, since the down after that pump, we had the bear market, it's just been up only 33x, 34x the entire time. Like, so here's the bottom here, right? So we'll just ignore the first cycle. So since 2020, 2019, it's just been up, 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 up. You cannot be faulted for holding Tron, right? If you're in it for the money, amazing chart. And to be fair, like Tron is still the biggest chain in terms of payments and everything. So it does have a use case and people do use it. Justin is a shady character, but the chart, great. I've never owned it though. Bit of a shame, but anyway, not to worry. Great chart though. This is Fartcoin. Let's have a look at this. It's hanging on. I don't know what the deal is with Fartcoin. Like, it was doing all right and now it's just sort of died. Nobody really talks about it. The chart looks anemic. It needs to get some momentum back. I'm not liking this. There's other few alts taking the limelight at the moment. And then there's also the pump and bonk war that's happening. So pump has come back a lot from the bottom. So the bottom was here, up 50%. So all the people that bought down there, yeah, back to the 382, but they're still down a lot, 40 something percent. So, but as far as the metrics are concerned, they've turned it on. So this orange bit was when, for I don't know what, 3 weeks or so, where bonk was just dominating. Look at it, it's just gone. It's all pump fun now. And this new app that's come out of nowhere, well, it's been around for a while, but bags and moonshot. It's funny, like it just, like the whole thing just changes. Look at that. It's amazing. Like bonk was dominating. Pump looked like it had gone, screwed over their fans, like the people that bought in the ICO. No one else still selling, but then started buying tokens that were listed on pump. They started buying back way more of the pump token. They're buying back 100%. They're using 100% of their revenue to buy back. They just raised all that money from the ICO, so they don't really need the money now. So they just need the revenue. Graduates is the thing, though. That's what you want to look at. So there's tokens deployed, right? But then there's tokens graduate. You can create as many tokens as you want, but if they're popular and they don't graduate, then what's the point? So where is the rate? So bonk still has the highest graduation rate, so 2.3%. Bags actually higher than pump. Okay. Yeah, so it's usually historically about at 1%, but bonk has a really high in terms of percentage. It's the volume. Bonk's still coming in. So bags got 39, almost 10 for bonk, but 180 for, let's see, volume there. 24 hours, 130 token trading volume, including post-graduation, 3 million. Here we go, revenue. So bonk, terrible. There used to be that number. Bags has had a bigger market share, but bonk still is okay with it. The fees here on pump just dominate for that. These are all the tokens in the last 4 hours. The Mr. Beast one, oh god, that was hilarious. 46 billion now. What happened there? That's not the right number. Yeah, he's got the math wrong. 495,400. He's got it wrong. But anyway, if you're not across what's happened with this, so this is probably the big news story of the day in terms of memes. So Mr. Beast, so the guy that runs Bags app created this token on Bags to raise money for Mr. Beast's water fund thing. And he was invited onto this stream where Mr. Beast was and this other guy, so he gets on stream, but not once does he mention Bags app, token, platform, or anything. Not once. Didn't talk about it at all. And everybody's going, what are you doing? You missed the opportunity. And so everyone just dumps it, and the token's ruined, and everybody is paying on him so hard.